is having a housewarming party.
Whoa! What do you guys want to do?
Well, we could play hide and go seek.
Yeah.
What about Trivial Pursuit?
Yeah.
Strip poker.
Yeah.
I got an idea. Let's do a ritual.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello!
This week, we're discussing the horror classic, The Ghoulies!
Woo!
Starring some people. So
Some
there
people
you
doing
go.
some stuff.
Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, what are you up to?
Dude, I want to talk about some things I forgot to talk about for when we way back when we recorded Don't Look Now. We neglected to talk about the fact that Donald Sutherland is dressed like a cross between Willy Wonka and Doctor Who with the Doctor Who scarf, as he was a stylish man. Perhaps that was the look in 73 in Venice. I don't know.
Fair enough.
We also need to talk about how the crazy psychic, when they're discussing the child, is clutching her boobs like she's trying to make them lactate. How did we get to even mention that crap?
That is a thing. No question.
And then you had a McNugget you forgot to throw in.
No, it was just that we talked about how he's constantly wearing like a crazy purple jacket and a scarf that looks like he's
I believe you told me he's cutting a rug.
He's cutting a rug.
He's wearing a rug.
Oh, yes, yeah. Which is not the same thing as cutting a rug.
Yes, I know. I know.
No,
they're trying to make it a new thing.
They had him literally wear a toupee the entire movie, and I don't know why.
Well, I wonder if he's thinning on top or something. Maybe he, for all we know, he's bald as a cucumber, and he always just wears this big 70 rug. What does Kiefer look like? Has he got a little male pattern?
It's hard to know. I mean, for example, I watched Stakeout with Richard Dreyfuss last night, and I've noticed for the first time that he's clearly wearing a rug. And this is like 87 or something like literally like it's a tube right back here that kind of, it's like a different color. It's like a weird thing going on.
It's like he's wearing a small hairy yarmulke.
It is. That's exactly what he's doing. I mean, clearly as somebody who has no hair, I just feel like you just have to embrace it and get on with your life. Don't do comb overs. I think Kevin Costner once said, no drugs, plugs, or rugs. And I think he's got it right. So there you go. Good times had by all.
All right. So what am I doing? I'm not working. So basically I just lay around my house, do the dishes, do laundry, edit a few photos, but mostly watch an amazing amount of TV. Like I watched Succession in a single week. It's 40 episodes until my eyes bled. I got a headache because I was no longer blinking. I'm out of control.
It happens to the best of us.
Mm-hmm,
very upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you give us your 30-second synopsis of The Ghoulies?
Satanic worship.
Yep.
Little rat-like creatures. Things always go terribly wrong, but then there's always the next generation. And you when you're working with the Dark Lords, there's never a guarantee. And then magically, everything works out at the end. Boom.
That was the most bizarre Deus Ex Machina coming out of nowhere. We're just like, whoa, what happened? I guess everybody's okay.
Yeah, they have their face nod, and they're still bloody, but they're like, all right, it's cool.
It's cool.
Let's go.
It's fine.
Let's go.
When had you seen this before? Or had you seen this
never
before?
In my life.
Never in your life, but you'd heard of it.
It looked like a bootleg version of Gremlins. I always thought it was just a Gremlins ripoff, but it is so much more.
This was in the mid-'80s, probably kicking off with Gremlins. It became a thing about malevolent little creatures like the Ghoulies, like the Critters, the Munchies. There was a lot of
I have not
crazy.
seen the Munchies, although I've had the Munchies.
That is true. It was a thing. They're sweeping the nation where it's like here are weird little creatures that are killing people.
I really like these little creatures. Critters were bullshit. I like these creatures better than the bad gremlins. Not better than the good gremlins, but better than the bad gremlins. And I think it's because it reminds me of Puppet Master. But these
Well,
little things were so expressive. All their money went to, well, a third of these creatures. Some of them were just little rubber dudes, but I am obsessed with the Ghoulies.
this is the thing about this movie. The effects of the little crazy creatures are horrendous. They are horrendous. You could say they're expressive.
Fantastic.
They're basically little puppets, but the eyes kind of look around. You can tell there's like a hand. At one point, you see a finger in one of the creatures' mouths because it's like there's a lot of the creatures like screaming, where like you see all the way down the throat, and you can literally see the fingers of the hand manipulating. Yeah,
The
it's
little
total.
green rubber dudes, I agree with you, but I still love them. The ones that live in the lake, and then it bowed to the overlord. It was literally like your hand bending. I
It
still loved
was
it.
it was so
But then there was
ridiculous.
like a little hairy gizmo that the eyes were rolling around, his little rice teeth. I mean, mostly it'd be even better if they talk, but mostly they just screech. It's like having a bunch of really diseased, mangy cats that just kind of float around.
Well, one looked like a cat. One was clearly like a little cat creature.
There was a
Um,
cat creature, a rat creature. I mean,
a little bald-headed frog creature.
oh
There
my
was,
God. I love them. I love them so much.
well, and the other thing is, you could tell they were just like little rubbery things. So it's like their skulls and their faces were kind of moving around in ways that they should not have been. It
At
made
one point, she's kneeling down by the pond talking to him. It's clearly some dude is just behind the rocks with his two hands up with the sock puppets.
it's
It was
true.
it was fantastic. It was
Now,
fantastic.
I saw this movie in the theater, and
Whoa!
this was one of the first PG-13 movies that was out at that time. That and Gremlins were like among the first two, and I saw it. Shockingly enough, Tara took me to see this in Bakersfield for some reason. For some
Because we got
reason.
dropped off at Aunt Stephanie's house, and then we had to walk over to the Fox Theater about a mile away, and our parents would not pick us up for 4 hours.
That's how we did it. That's how we did it. So we saw the Ghoulies. For goodness sake, it's
Mhm.
sweet Jesus. Did you give us your 30-second synopsis? I don't even remember.
Yes, I actually already did. And I'm
Let's
telling
jump.
you, the creatures are the best part. Don't get hung up on the plots.
Dude, it's easy not to get hung up on the plot because they sure didn't get hung up on the plot. That's for sure.
It was hijinks and shenanigans. Everybody was super irritating. It was super 80s. Love the fashion.
Yep.
I mean, it was ridiculous casting. The main chick went to fucking Juilliard and has her PhD, and she's teaching at like Cal State Long Beach.
Oh, for reals? That's
Yes.
something. That's something. My old alma
Like
mater.
she went to Juilliard. She was in a couple of real movies with like she was in a movie with Vanessa Redgrave, Julia. That's another scary movie. And then she did this.
Did you recognize Mariska Hargitay?
I didn't at first because I kept thinking, "Where's Mariska? Where's Mariska?" And
It
oh
doesn't
my
even
God,
look like her.
well, she's so young and
Yep.
she has an entirely different voice. She got rid of her high pitched wispy voice. Now she has a more serious voice.
Well, she's Special Victims
It
Unit.
was, you can't be special victim units if you're talking like this with this weird soft voice. Now she's serious.
I mean, this is like 30 years or 35 years ago, basically.
She is 1 year older than me.
I would argue I think she's prettier now than she was when she was in Ghoulies.
Oh
Hot
yeah, she's
take?
really coming to her own.
She really did.
Mariska Haggard, because her acting here is terrible.
Did
but
you call her
she-
Mariska Haggerty?
What is her name?
Mariska Hargitay.
Whatever.
She's not Dan Haggerty's child.
I kept thinking that.
She's
I'm
Jane
like,
Mansfield's
it's
daughter.
not Dan Haggerty. It's Mickey Hargitay.
Hargitay. He's
Hargitay.
Hungarian.
He was the Arnold of his time.
He thought, yes, he did a lot of Italian sword and sandals movies in the early 60s.
And her mother was Jane Mansfield.
Jane Mansfield, for goodness sake.
Mm-hmm.
So, good grief.
She had some good bones.
No question. Let's jump right into the highlights. What do you got, Aaron? You go first.
Holy shit. First of all, the best highlight is looking at Wolfgang and going, dude, he looks familiar, and realizing it's fucking Eraserhead! Nope. Yay! And then I deep dived him, and he's got a sad laugh. How about go ahead.
Wolfgang is at the very beginning of this movie and then at the very end, and you never see him any other time.
No, he was phoning that business in. So he's the savior. I assume he raises Jonathan. Is that right? He rescued Jonathan. Well, he didn't rescue him. The dude told him to take him away. For what reason, we don't know. They were going to sacrifice baby Jonathan at the beginning. Then a woman starts screaming, "You never said anything about a baby," and then just sat down until a gremlin ate her. And then the main guy told Wolfgang to take the baby away. So I wouldn't say he rescued him. He was just following orders.
I think what we're supposed to think is that the evil warlock at the beginning is the baby's father, and the woman who complained was the baby's mother.
One would assume.
So when Eraserhead takes the baby away, I think we're supposed to think he raised the child.
Right.
But then later he's introducing his girlfriend to him and doesn't say, "Here's my father," because I was an infant. He says, "This is the groundskeeper, Wolfgang. Pay him no never mind. Do not
pay
look
him
at him
no never mind." So we actually have no idea. Maybe he dropped him off at the fire station. Maybe he threw him in a well. I don't know.
It's like This Is Us. Right? He was adopted. Yes. It's a thing. So, they talked about how the evil warlock died a horrible death years later. So now you have inherited this gigantic mansion castle type thing. And that's where the fun begins, I guess. Is that what we're supposed to think?
I assumed he must have just died, right? Was it in the courts for years? So how did he inherit it?
Yes.
He was in probate forever because the grave looked like he's been buried for 1,000 years. And the place is completely run down. So did he die and 30 years later they look for the heir?
It's possible. I have to talk about the fact that when they're handling the baby, it's a lot of like clearly not a baby. Like it's a baby in the close-ups. When they're putting the bundle down on the altar and like half it's like hanging over the edge, I'm like, there's no baby in there. You got to mind the little fontanelle. Its head is like dangling over the ledge.
Get your finger out of the fontanelle.
For God's sakes. Very upsetting. So Jonathan inherits the castle and they're like, this place is a shithole. Let's throw a party. That seems to be
any worse.
Would you literally be like, this place is horrible? Let's invite all of our closest friends here to get tetanus. I mean, what is their plan?
Well, first of all, he's an asshole and all his friends are idiots. And half the time he's just yelling at them. So I don't understand the friendship at all. It's just all weirdo. Everyone is weirder than the next person. Right. Well, I mean, Jonathan's hardly sane himself.
Well, it's kind of that Evil Dead thing where he discovers the book. There's always some book he discovers.
There's always a book. And now I'm a Satanist. Did I tell you about a friend who was a Satanist?
I think I knew that already. Right? Okay. One of your closest friends was a Satanist, right?
One of my closest friends after a divorce became a Satanist. And she would tell me some crazy, there was like this is the Bay Area, there was like a coven or whatever they call it in Oakland. So she would drive up to Oakland. It just sounded like it was group sex in robes.
And it's never the most attractive people who join the coven. Sad
It's
to
same with
say.
nudists. It's never. It's not who you think it is. It's
Or
like
not
when
who
I
you
went to
hope it
the
is.
beach in Nice. The people with the smallest bikinis are the ones you were not hoping for.
You take the bikini and cover your eyes with it at that point. Leave me alone.
Too many speedos, too many bellies.
It's very upsetting. It's very upsetting, to say the least.
Mhm.
But you're right. It's like he finds the book and is like, "Hey guys, let's go downstairs so I can do a ritual that I'm half-assing." Um, and he's yelling at them because they're making jokes. Would you shut up?
They're
I'm
all
doing.
liquored up. One dude is doing like a sad old white man break dance, and literally pills
Yes,
and joints are falling out of his body. It's like lewds or whatever
yes,
the
it was
hell.
lewd. Well, it's like, was this just what the actor happened to have in his pockets, or is this what is
It
happening?
wa-
No,
I-
it's the
I'm
worst
not
part
sure
ever.
what they were trying to do. I assume they were trying to make a comedy.
No, this is not
Porky's
a
without
comedy.
the racism or nudity. I don't know.
Well, then what's the fun in that? Anyway, so yes, but that's over the course of the movie. Is he getting possessed? Is that what's happening? Because I
It
can't
seems
understand.
so. He's feeling his power. It's like Donald Trump. The more power he gets, the crazier he gets.
It was really kind of strange because he's like, his girlfriend is like, I'm gonna go to class because I think they're supposed to be college age, even though he's clearly like 50 years old.
Yeah, they're
He's
all
like,
like 40 and a bunch
he's
of knuckleheads. They're like the younger brother of a famous celebrity. So they're on like some kind of family salary. So they spend their times just like drinking at noon and getting high and roaming from house to house.
true. He's like, I'm taking a semester off from school to refurbish the house, the mansion, essentially. But really, all
That he
he's doing,
has no money, but he's
he
going to
doesn't.
refurbish.
Isn't there property taxes on this place? I mean, I think you have to sell this place,
Sell,
right?
sell, sell.
You
That's what
got
I
any
always
stuff?
think. Every time there's that St. Jude dream home thing, and I feel like wasting $100, the first thought is, I'm going to sell this son of a bitch.
St.
They're
Jude
always
home.
out in like way outside of town. So it looks like urban cowboy, where it's just dirt all around it with like grass plugs and a chain link fence.
That is true. That is true. But so he's getting into the witchcraft, but for seemingly no reason. For seemingly no, and at one point she's like, "If you don't stop this black magic shit, I'm out of here." And he's like, "Sure, honey, sure, honey." And he like let's get into bed together, honey. And she discovers there's like a pentagram under the bed. Like, what was he trying to do
He was like chanting. He should have played it off and
during
says,
sex?
I'm just talking to you in a sexy Italian or something."
It's just
S-
pillow talk, baby. Yeah,
Just pillow
chanting
talking.
in Latin under his breath. And she's like, "What are you saying?" She's like laughing. "Ooh, what are you saying?" And he just ignores her and keeps chanting. It was it was bizarre. It was beyond all reckoning. Now, as he goes
I think
along,
he is possessed. He seems to have no clear idea of what he's doing. It's more like just to see. And then he's like, I have to find my father. Well, how do you know you're going to find your father through all of this?
well, that's his
Were there some
justification.
directions in the Necronomicon or whatever the he had? The
It was
Aleister
basically
Crowley Bible.
it was. He said it was like, I never knew my biological father, but this was the weird witchcraft he was into. Therefore, I feel closer to him when I also take up his demonic rituals.
Well, it makes sense. If you find out your dad is Ted Bundy, you probably have to become a serial killer.
It's only good science.
That's what the science. You got to follow the science.
You got to follow the science. So he, along the way, he like is discovering there's weird creatures. Like there's the weird little ghoulie
He
sock puppets.
summoned them. He
He
summoned
summons
them.
them little by little. But there's also the little people that appear, Greagle Gut or whatever their names are, who are there as well. So there's the weird little sock puppet creatures. Then there is the little people who also are supposed to follow his
And
commands.
they are very small. I was really hoping that one of them would have been in Don't Look Now.
They're like a foot tall. I mean, they are
They're very,
really
very small people. And they like him for some reason. They turn against their true Dark Lord and support him. Because why? Because
because he
he's
was
so
nice to
cool.
them. But
He's
he's
kind of
yelling
a
at them.
dick.
Right. It makes no
He's yelling at
sense.
his friends, but he's nice to his tiny demons.
So he throws another dinner party where now his girlfriend's been mesmerized. So she's in on it too. And
Right?
they
The little
do,
demons did that, right? That's
I
what
don't,
he asked them. They're like, "Do you want him back? Would that make or her back? Would that make you happy, master?"
they did something. They hypnotized her. Then they hypnotized the entire dinner party and put them in like robes. And
With
he
their
did the
big goblets of Kool-Aid. Because
the
clearly there is
wine.
no wine. Even Stella Rosa is not, which is wine Kool-Aid, is not that color.
You're right.
It's cherry Kool-Aid for everyone.
It was like Crystal Light. Is basically what it is. It was a sad situation. But so he casts the spell, and when there's a lot of just people screaming. Did you notice that? People are just like, ah, like cut to people screaming at the table. Ah, the little people screaming. The weird sock puppets zoom in. Ah! Yeah, there's a lot of, and I literally wrote this down, unmotivated screaming. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that going on. So then it snapped to now they're all back around the table, and he says, "Well, thanks for coming. We're going to excuse ourselves. The rest of you can stay here, find a room, do your biz." And then they are systematically killed by the Ghoulies, one right after another, for no
But I
reason.
thought, but his order to them was, you can cruise around, but no one can see you. But at this point, the dude, his daddy's resurrected and is now back
Right.
in control. Which
I think
how
that's
does
what it
that
is.
make sense since he's the one who summoned them?
You're right. Well, he literally says, "Am I your master?" They're like, "Yes." "Forsaking all others?" And they kind of look at each other. "Yes." But yes. So evidently, all of his spells just accidentally resurrect the warlock dude who's his father from the beginning of the movie. He like
Yeah, I
jumps out
think
of his
that's the
grave.
dinner party one with the screaming is what brought him back.
Right. So now there is a character who they kept calling the Toad Boy. Did you notice that? It was
Yeah, what
with no
he was, like,
explanation.
always trying to bite girls in their belly or their boob. I think he might have been a Dahmer, I don't know.
He was a little Domerific. He his he was just one of their buddies who had a bizarro alter ego, and he'd do a little crazy voice, and he called himself the Toad Boy. There was no explanation.
And he's
He
tapping Mariska.
and he was shagging old Mariska, which was very bizarre. Before they're both killed by the little frog, the real Toad Boys jumping out of the fountain,
That
chewing
seems
on them.
apropos. I love the little toad babies.
They are literally 6 inches. The thing jumped up and was attacking his face. The guy's like, ah, ah. I'm like, this thing is so small. I wrote it down. They're so little. Are you kidding me?
I
There's
love
nothing
them
you
so
can
much
do.
with their little rice teeth, and they're clearly putting, like, lube in their mouth because it's
Yes.
all just
Dripping.
gelatinous and dripping down.
KY jelly just dripping.
It's KY jelly with, like, chunks of meat, like these little frog boys have not been to the dentist.
Just drooling. Big old drool. Yeah, slime.
Nothing
What?
gets me like rice teeth.
Nothing like rice teeth. So they're wiped out. The little people hit the one dude in the head with a baseball bat, and I guess that killed him, right? Because they're dragging his body around. Another dude. It was a lot of like, I'm walking down the house, and then a little creature kind of jumps on me, and now I'm dead. There was a lot of that going on. Although the one dude who is like the ladies' man goes downstairs to get a drink of water, and he sees like a sexy lady who chokes him to death with her elongated tongue.
Oh my God, that had some Raimi vibes there.
Did you recognize the sexy lady?
I looked her up. She looked very familiar, but she ended up not being. Oh,
She was in one movie we did.
it's Mausoleum, and it
She
was
was
the
in Mausoleum.
dead-eyed. Was it the mother?
She was the main character. She was the possessed woman in Mausoleum.
Yes.
She was the playmate who was in the where the gardener's like, ooh, looking up at her. Remember? Whereas, I remember looking her up on the IMDb to talk about it on that show because she was described as a scream queen.
Scream
And
Queen, but she didn't do that many
she's
movies, I don't think.
Mausoleum as the star, and she's in literally 15 seconds of Ghoulies.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're not a scream. If you've been in 1.25 movies, that's not a scream queen. Sorry, hon. So,
Well, I
that's
guess
the
it's like Michael Jackson with the King of Pop. It's whatever you can contractually obligate people to say about you.
Michael Jackson he had 1 million hits.
There
What are you
were
talking about?
Cliff Richards. Wasn't he the King of Pop?
It's so funny. We
Now
talked
we don't talk anymore.
we
Yeah.
talked about Cliff Richards for 15, 20 minutes of the legacy episode. So you can tune into that to hear more about the feelings about him. So they're all wiped out. And Jonathan finally unhypnotizes his girlfriend, who he hypnotized, or he had hypnotized. He snaps out of
We're
it,
not
and now
sure.
it's not appropriate. You should not mesmerize your girlfriends. It's not. It's a Me Too situation when you
Yeah.
do
We
that.
call that not date rape, but mesmer rape.
Mesmer rape. It's not informed consent when you
That is
mesmerize your
correct.
girlfriend.
Just say
So
no.
so now the zombified warlock dude is attacking Jonathan, who's now like our hero after he's been the villain for the
Right.
last hour of this movie.
Now
Now
the
he's
little
our
people
protagonist.
are helping him out.
Right.
How
And
come you
we're
never
supposed to
said,
root for him.
Daddy, but Daddy, I love you. Give me a kiss on the mouth.
He tried to give him a kiss on the mouth. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And then Wolfgang shows up at the last minute to get into a wizard's wrestling
Every
match
time
with
you
him.
say Wolfgang, I want to say Rock Me Amadeus.
Rock me, Amadeus. And they disappear. Everything's cool. And then they turn around because his girlfriend, Jonathan's girlfriend, falls down the stairs and breaks her neck. Just because she's clumsy, I guess is what
I
happens.
think it must have been just a sprang because she seemed to pop back up after that.
Well, he says, "I'll bring you back." Then when the wizards disappear, she's like, "Oh, I'm cool actually." They turn
Just gotta
around,
rub that out.
little neck soreness. Turns around, all their buddies who had been eviscerated by all the ghoulies, they're fine now. Everybody's cool. Let's all run to our car and drive away. Yay, we survived. And then they turn around, there's the ghoulies in the back seat going, "Eeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeee
fantastic, Kevin. I don't know how you say this movie was crap. This is going up on my list. I have to watch this again.
This is not fantastic. Let me stop you right there.
Really, what's fantastic is not the story and not the actors and their absurdly weird friends.
Yep.
It's the little creatures. I love the creatures so much. So that boosts this much higher.
Did you notice that the zombified warlock, as so often happens, has like thick makeup, zombie makeup on his face, but his hands pink, vital.
Oh, hands and
healthy.
arms.
Yes.
Completely like we only had budget. All our budget went to the little creatures. So you're gonna have to just put makeup on your face and try to hide your arms the rest of the way.
How long? I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult to throw a little something on the arms, right? It wouldn't be that difficult at all. And like I said, there's constant unmotivated screams and explosions that people in the next room don't seem to notice.
Just to be annoying and just to annoy their friends.
And it's working.
They go to bed and the one lady, his girlfriend, sleeps with her gloves on and her entire gown.
I noticed that. I know they had just finished having sex, but she's fully clothed. It's how they do it. What did you think of the weird? I don't know. It was like a clown sitting in a rocking chair that kept moving around. What
Oh
are your
my
thoughts?
god. At first, I was like, oh, when we first saw it, I was like, cool. But then when you're fighting it later, I mean, I thought it was in the chair. They go to the closet and look inside, and it jumps out there. I thought that was cool. But then the later clown attack, I was like, Spielberg did it better in Poltergeist.
Spielberg did it better. And then it was like a weird, like another kind of ghoulie appears, climbs out, and kind of gives her a backhand. And you never see that. There are ghoulies that you
No,
only see a
that was
couple
like a
times.
flea stack. They broke into Sid and Marty Krofft's locker and stole like a partial flea stack costume and poured more KY on it.
Poured more KY on it and let the fun begin.
Let
No
the fun
question.
begin.
Any other thoughts and feelings? What else you got? Anything?
Yeah, how about the end? Everybody's dead and they're wiggling their corpse down for the seance for the final match. Yes. And then when Daddy's dead again, they all just get up. Let's go. It's cool. But half my face was gnarled off. But now I'm feeling much better.
Now they're fine. Right.
It made no goddamn sense.
Well, I mean, did Jonathan?
They were dead.
They were absolutely dead. They were mutilated. Did Jonathan want them dead? Or were the Ghoulies now following the orders of the evil warlock when they started killing
the Ghoulies everybody? Are now following the orders of the evil warlock because he has to have I don't know. Because if they're dead, they can't be part of whatever the quorum or whatever they needed.
Jonathan wanted them there because they contributed something to his spell casting.
Well, you had to have a certain number of people.
That's what. So
that's why he invited a bunch of jackasses.
And jackassery ensued. Shall we go behind the scenes?
Do it.
Ghoulies! Originally planned to be filmed in 3D and actually begin production in 3D. The audiences would put on their glasses every time the characters in the movie put their sunglasses on.
Oh, because that's what you want to do? Yes. Back and forth? Oh my God. 3D never just really did it.
After 2 days of filming in 3D, they changed their minds due to the complexity of switching back and forth between the two different things.
Yeah, there was still a lot of sunglasses inside at night.
That's exactly right. So there's a lot of that. There was a lot of sunglasses inside because of that. So there you go. Critters came out 2 years later and has a scene where a critter comes out of a toilet as an homage to this film.
Critters blows compared to this.
The poster for this film, featuring a ghoulie popping out of a toilet bowl, reportedly caused several angry mothers to write letters to the studio saying that their kids were too scared to use the bathroom after seeing the poster.
How about what's happening? Don't take them to these kind of movies.
I think just seeing the poster was enough to upset.
Were they just all over town? What's happening?
It was all over town. It was the talk of
Is that
the
a thing
town.
we could sue about? Because in the 70s, I was terrified by all these natural things becoming giant. And I cried in my room every time my parents went out of town or went to a cocktail party.
They would just leave you at home alone and go out of town, is how they did it. Interesting. Good times. According to stories producer Charles Band tells on his Full Moon Horror Roadshow, he was tasked with coming up with a great campaign to promote the film. During a brainstorming session, he came up with the idea of having the ghoulie pop up out of the toilet. The idea was a huge success, and the scene was then shot for the film after the fact. So that wasn't originally going to be in it.
That's always a nightmare. It's earwigs crawling in your ear while you're sleeping. It's something coming up out of the toilet when you're most vulnerable.
Well, what's bizarre is if you look at the poster, the little crazy green ghoulie is wearing a blue shirt and red suspenders.
Right.
Why?
It's child's play.
It's so they dress. These creatures didn't wear clothes, much less suspenders, for God's sakes, to keep their pants up.
We don't know. We never saw their pee-pee area.
And who's to say? And the tagline for the movie was, "They'll get you in the end."
Right.
Clever. The scream
Got
let
some $3
loose.
extra dollars to shoot the additional scene.
It's true. The scream let loose by Donna was a stock sound effect because Mariska Hargitay has a naturally deep, husky voice and could not produce a scream loud
Of
or high
course
pitched
of
enough for
course.
liking.
And she's
So
trying to soften her voice in her early career.
it was a thing. They made 2 sequels of the Ghoulies.
Ghoulies go
Right.
to college. I saw that when I was digging this up. This sounds terrible.
Yep. Well, it was Ghoulies 2 and then Ghoulies 3. Ghoulies go to college. So there you go. Oh, and there's Ghoulies. There's a bunch more. Ghoulies 4. Ghoulies from the toilets to the terror. That's the behind the scenes, the making of Ghoulies. So there you go. Good times. Shall we talk about the cast and crew?
Lay it on me.
Let's see. Luca Bercovici was the director and writer. We know him from such things as he was the producer of the TV series 12 Monkeys.
That was a TV series?
Well,
I had no
eventually it was
idea.
a TV series.
I had no idea.
Yeah, in 2016. Producer of the show Fallen. He played Lenny in Clean and Sober with Michael Keaton. He directed
I think I saw that.
I
had a crush on Michael Keaton after Batman.
That was when Michael Keaton was like, I'm going to be kind of a serious actor now.
Mm-hmm.
So he just started serious stuff.
Well, plus he was addicted to cocaine, so that probably helps with your motivation.
It definitely helps. He also directed another movie we've talked about recently. It was called Rockula.
Oh, God. I'm trying to erase it from my memory.
Yeah, we talked about Rockula.
No, My Fair Lady. It's a little closer to Cats.
We talked about Rockula when we were on the the Cult-Worthy Cinema podcast. Check that out. Good times. Let's talk about the cast. Peter Liapis played Jonathan Graves, the main character.
He looked familiar, but I couldn't find anything.
He was the writer for Crooked Halos, The Magical Tale of Little Tycoon. He played a porter in Alone with a Stranger.
No.
And he was the writer of Sins of Desire. You know it, don't you?
I don't. The words that come out of your mouth have no meaning to me at all.
I understand. Nor me either. Lisa Pelican played Rebecca, the love interest, and he called her Becky sometimes. Called her Rebecca. He was all over.
He couldn't remember what her name was.
Becca Boo.
Becca Boo.
He said that a couple times. You know her from such things as Lionheart with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yep.
She was in Return to the Blue Lagoon. She was young Julia in Julia, as you said previously.
Yeah.
And she was Jennifer Baylor in the film Jennifer. So there you go. You know him, don't you?
As I said, she went and got her PhD and teaches at Cal State Long Beach.
I
didn't know you get a doctorate in acting.
You can do whatever you want.
You cannot.
Yeah,
you don't have a doctorate in fine arts.
Michael Desbarres, I'm sure I'm messing his name, Desbarres, played Malcolm Graves, the evil warlock and the father.
It seems like I know him, but he always has white hair. Am I confusing him with other villains?
I think it's hard to say what the story is. And I just closed out IMDb, so you're gonna have to give me a second.
That's a choice.
It was a choice. What a pain in the ass. I'm having all sorts of technical difficulties. Here we go. Michael Desbarres. Somebody's gonna call and say, "You jackass." That's not how you pronounce his name. I looked him up because he looks very familiar. Like he's somebody you've seen in 10,000 things. But then when I looked at what he'd done, I was like, I don't think I've seen any of these things. So we shall see what it says when we get there.
Oh, Lord.
He was in 2 episodes of The New MacGyver.
There's a new MacGyver? Remember when we flew to Maui and MacGyver and Molly Ringworm were in the Business Class.
The original, absolutely. He was in
Uh-huh.
To Sir with Love in 1967
Oh, he's
with
the
Sidney
old one.
Poitier. Yes, he's
Yeah.
one of the evil students. He was in California Solo in 2012.
Don't know.
In 2001, he was the man from Elysian Fields.
Nope.
Yep. He just has one of those looks. He's the evil British guy you'd see from time to time.
Pretty much. Now
Pretty
there's
much.
somebody in the cast who was in a bunch of stuff. Hopefully I'm not confusing movies, but somebody in this cast is in Surf Nazis Must Die.
Oh, I'm sure. I will look it up. No, there's a lot of. I mean, this was a real
Maybe it was
production.
our Scream Queen. I think our Scream Queen was in Surf Nazis.
She, like I said, these are actors that you've seen. It's not like your typical Full Moon Entertainment where it's like they've done nothing. Like this was their one movie.
But we do love
Jack
Full Moon
Nance.
Entertainment.
Jack Nance played Wolfgang. You know him from Eraserhead, Blue Velvet, Dune, Wild at Heart. He basically did all of the David Lynch classics.
So what I read is he had a bit of a drinking problem. So during the filming of Blue Velvet, he went to Hopper for help with stop drinking, and Hopper checked him into a rehab.
What's Hopper?
You never think of
Dennis Hopper?
Dennis Hopper as the guy the go-to guy for substance abuse.
I thought you were talking about Doc Hopper from
Doc Hopper from the Muppet movie. Chicken fried, French fried, chicken fried legs.
Scott Thompson played Mike, the breakdancing drug addict. You know him. He was in Twister. He played Jason Preacher Rowe. I knew him because he was in a bunch of the Police Academy movies. He played Officer Copeland in multiple.
Who knew he was going to be the one with the strong career?
He was also in Fast Times at Richmond High as one of the nerdy guys. So he actually was in quite a few things that I'd seen him in. Let's see who else. Ralph
Jack
Seymour
Nance was married to Jerry Van Dyke's daughter.
Love her work. Ralph
was a
Seymour.
porn star.
That'll do it. Ralph Seymour played Mark in parentheses Toad Boy. He was in Rain Man as Lenny. He was Francis's accomplice in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He was the sergeant in The Relic.
Holy hell.
I saw him. He was in Fletch as one of the crazy drug addicts that Fletch was trying to get information from.
I might have to revisit Fletch. I haven't seen
Fletch
that in 100
is a
years.
goddamn classic. Last one I want to talk about is Mariska Hargitay played Donna. She, keep in mind, she's been acting since 1984 and just doing kind of crap until the late 90s when she appeared on all the Law and Order Special Victims Unit. So she's like the hardest working woman in show business.
100%. I think this is like one of her first features.
This was her first, absolutely.
And she was terrible.
She was terrible. She was in Law and Order Special Victims Unit from 1999 to 2023, 538 episodes as Detective Olivia Benson. And
she's the best.
And she popped up in all of the Law and Order things. She was Olivia Benson in 10,000 different things.
I tell you what, when I would summer in Italy, you could be out on the patio in the courtyard and all you heard was dun dun.
Absolutely.
Everyone is watching. Everyone.
She was in Tales of Earthsea in 2006.
Not familiar.
She was in Lake Placid, the giant crocodile movie. She played Myra Akubo. Lake
Placid.
Where she's not the main character in this. She's like the other woman. Like the girl, the guy who, has broken up with the main character. It's like the new girlfriend was who she played, basically. And in 1995, she played Hooker at Bar in Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh my God, Leaving Las Vegas. That was so upsetting. It was so
Very
upsetting.
Why
not a double feature? Leaving Las Vegas and Barfly. Now that's a fun hijinks double whack pack.
It's a double whack pack. Shall we talk about the ratings?
Lay it on me.
The Ghoulies currently has 8% on Rotten Tomatoes.
8 or 80?
8.
Oh,
8. Do you know what the audience gave it?
75.
20%.
I don't
20%.
understand. I'm a little confused.
There are no top critics for this movie either. So there
We
you go.
are the top critics.
We
for
are
this
the
movie.
top critics. So what is your rating for Ghoulies? Not the
Dude.
Groovy Ghoulies, by the way.
The Groovy Ghoulies. I used to love the Groovy Ghoulies. Dude, I'm giving this high praise. I enjoyed it. I was stone cold sober. I watched this at 8:00 last night. And at first I was getting a little bored until the Groovy Ghoulies appeared. I'm giving it 3 little rats that'll bite your ass out of 5.
Oh, Jesus. I'm going to give it, let's say 1.5 Toad
Oh
Boys.
dear. There
and the
seems to be a
Toads.
disconnect.
This movie sucks. This movie is lousy. It's boring. The plot makes no sense. Aaron, you only like it because you like the close-ups of the Ghoulies drooling KY jelly.
150%. 150%. I mean, if the story and acting were better, it'd be more like a Dolls. I would have given it a 4. But I'm giving it a 3 for these crazy little characters. I love them so much.
No, it's unwatchable.
I may love them more than the Puppet Master.
You
Although
may.
that's hard.
No,
There's no Nazi rat though, so I don't know.
Well, I guess that's a good thing. No, it is just worthless. It is it blows. You're like, who am I rooting for? The guy who's hypnotizing his girlfriend and doing pentagrams under their conjugal bed. That's the
I'm
guy I'm
rooting for the rat babies.
the slimy toilet creature. Yeah, not feeling it. I would say take a pass on Ghoulies. And they made multiple sequels. So
exactly.
Such is life.
Exactly. Oh my god. I just thought some of the little creatures were so highly entertaining. I mean, they must all their budget went to like the little Muppety thing that with the rolling eyes and
I did not care for that. I did not care for it at all. Okay, let's I don't know what I was gonna say. So thank you very much. Go to our page on sweet Jesus. Go to our pages on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram. Check out our WTF reels and videos that pop up multiple times a week. Good times had by all. You can also email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at
Gmail.
We also, as you may be noticing, have a YouTube channel. It's a simulcast. Some people just want to hear our dulcet tones. Some want to actually see the goods. Not that I blame you. Let the good times roll. You can also listen to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. Aaron, what's going on with you? What's social media? What's your story?
I have much media. I'm on the Instagram. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I am Don't Feed the Pigeon. I am also on Artsy and First Dibs, Aaron Doherty, Instant Dreams Gallery. Buy some Polaroid art. Boom.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, from time to time, we say, hey, send us your comments and questions, and maybe we'll talk about it on the show. I'm going to do it right now. A couple weeks ago, we released The Legacy episode with Catherine Ross and Sam Elliott. And David McKee had this to say. Surprisingly elegant, thanks to director Richard Marquand, to say nothing of having the immortal Margaret Tyzak on hand to play the devil. A real guilty pleasure, this.
It is. It holds up, brother.
There you go.
Yep.
Good
that was an
times.
Aaron choice. And lest we forget, Roger Daltrey in a non-singing role.
He said, I just want to do my acting. Just my acting. That's all I need. So next week we're doing the horror classic Forbidden Zone, starring the Knights of the
Oingo
Oingo
Boingo
Boingo
and
and
Hervé Villages.
Hervé Village. It's an all-star cast. What we're saying. This is another Aaron choice, so buckle up. You can watch it on Tubi with ads, Canopy for free, free on Plex. If you have FlixFling, you can watch it there, or you can rent it on Vudu or Apple TV. So good times.
Why rent when you can buy?
Why indeed. So send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we'll talk about it on the show. So good times had by all. So thank you very much, and be well.
Be well, children.